We are rolling.
Welcome back to Countdown 2 Podcast. I'm your co-host, Drew.
And I'm Leighton, and we're brothers.
And we're brothers. And speaking of brothers, we're coming to you today with an episode that's very different. Different as in the sense of us going into the past. One thing we've wanted to share is just, origin stories. I don't know, but just how this podcast came about was just us journeying from where we were to where we're at to where we're going. And a great way to kind of gauge that is also to share with others where we're coming from. And so this one, Leighton felt he wanted to share his side of the story, his journey, and open up about things that were, that he's shared with only a handful of people. And that's, from facing his mom's battle with cancer at age 11 that led to battling alcohol, depression, broken relationships. This is part of the story that shaped everything and the reason for this podcast existing. So, yeah.
Welcome. Yeah, and if you've ever felt close to giving up, this episode's for you guys.
Yeah, so we're about to get into the thick of things, lots of personal things. So my question, though, to you, bro, is like, why now? Why do you feel like this is what you want to share? And
yeah, I've wanted to share my story for a while, just in general, even before we started this podcast. And I've shared it here and there. But main reason with you guys today on the podcast is like so much on social media platforms. We show the good, we show the fun that we have during the week, during the weekends. I do the same with mountain biking, and like you don't see how people are hurting, and that way when you're hurting and you see everyone else doing good, it really like clashes. It really messes with your head. And so I want to use my platform to be able to like, I was here and I got to here and it was a huge process, but we talk about our how far we've come. Well, you guys have no idea where the starting point was. So yeah, I wanted to be able to share that and be vulnerable and have some healing in speaking truth to whoever needs to hear it. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's brave. I mean, you're right. There's social media, being online, having the platform of whatever. So many times it's like, let's put on a good face. Let's fake it. Or till we make it, or whatnot. And so, but that's so unrealistic. I mean, in our journeys, even we've had people that we look up to because we know their past. We know the grind they had to go through and transform. They're relatable. It's like, oh, they can do it. Oh, I could do it too. There's hope. Whereas there's so many people that's just like, the depth is this far and you can't relate to that. So good on you. Yeah. Anyways,
Thanks, bro.
or on that. But I wanted to set the scene, though, because we're going to be diving into the past, and we're brothers, but we don't share the same past. I mean, it's almost like separate families, with the age gap and everything like that. I'm middle child of 5 kids. You're youngest. Fun fact, our oldest sister and you were born on the same day, 18 years apart. Also, fun fact, I'm the middle child, and your birthdays are my half birthday. So, yeah. I mean, our parents were amazing at timing or math, or I don't know. And so with that, there's quite dynamics. I mean, our other brother, what's the age gap between you and him?
9 years.
9 years. Okay. So quite the age gap between you and the younger brother. You and I, we have got an age gap of what? I'm 47, you're 32. And so there's numbers in there.
Yeah, so
I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to guess on the age.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Anyway, so I mean, your experiences a lot of that was I was already out of the house, and
Hmm.
so I mean, I think I'm gonna learn some new stuff through here too. But basically, setting the scene here, you've got four wonderful older siblings. I'm gonna say that, but with the age gap, basically you had six parents. Between the four of us and mom and dad, you had six parents growing up. So
Hmm.
basically, you were kind of the only child.
Yeah, there was a good minute. Like Jeff and I were in the house together for, I mean, until I was about 10. And then after that, but like right after that, I mean, mom was diagnosed with cancer, and that was kind of the start of the downfall, I guess you could say.
The
Um,
loss.
but I think with having, I used to get really annoyed and be like, oh yeah, I was like I had six older parents, but deep down inside, that was probably good for me to have that kind of supervision. um, so yeah, just mom's cancer battle started at 11 when I was 11. I still remember to this day them coming in my room telling me about it, and stage 4 breast cancer, and was told that she'd have about 6 months, and thankfully we had way more time than that. Uh, it lasted about 7 years, so when I turned 18. But the battle in between there, it was doctor's appointments. It was I I kind of was under the rug a little bit, like understandably so, because everything was about her recovery, um, and I just kind of got lost in the mix of things a little bit. Like, and my parents love me. Like, I'm not at all saying anything bad
Yeah.
about them, but
Well, yeah. No, I mean, let me.
yeah,
You're
no, you're
you're
good.
uh, you're yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, it, yeah, she had cancer. Lots of people do, unfortunately. But the scene I kind of wanted to paint with this is like she got diagnosed when you were 11, and then battled like she was a battler till you were 18. That's all your informative years. That's all your developmental years of identity, who you are, and so you were overshadowed, or mom's cancer overshadowed your story.
Yeah,
And I don't mean that like, how, oh, that's so unfair, she was, selfish or whatever. I mean in the
totally.
sense of just like it makes sense. And I think that so many of our stories, when we really look back, it's like, oh, that's why this happened, or that's why this brokenness transpired. That's why I responded this way, is because in normal development that was disrupted, you know,
Hmm.
and I mean, growing up as an only child, so to speak, you were left alone. Dad served mom, rightfully so. I mean, appointments, uh, not just the physical toll, but the emotional toll, the spiritual toll, all the above was strained. And unfortunately, rightfully so, due to the circumstances, you got what was left over, which was not much.
Yeah. Well, and we had a community. We were all in church, and so like people riled up around us, and my siblings came through for me, the ones that were living here in town. Like, I in thinking about what I want to say with this episode, I was like, man, like it was really nice to be able to have my sisters come and get me, and I had family. Like, yeah, it wasn't mom or dad, but they took me to do things or taught me things, disciplined me, whichever. And we had family friends who would rally around me. Um, this isn't a story of like I was abandoned and I no
Right.
one loved me or anything. This was just like, even though you have these things set up, like of community and helpfulness and family, things still get lost
Hmm.
in there.
Hmm.
So what can we do to be able to help with those?
Right.
And I became a master at, you said earlier, fake it till you make it. I was a master at being, I didn't want anyone else to have to worry about me.
Yeah.
Any of you guys, siblings, so I'd always say, I'm okay, I'm okay. And I believed it. Like, I believed I was fine.
Hmm.
But it was just those times when I was alone that that I was like, oh, I'm not okay, but tomorrow,
I,
tomorrow I can't, be okay.
I can't remember what circle it is. I don't know if it's in a recover circle, but the acronym, or the, when you say you're fine, the acronym is um, effed up, insecure, neurotic, emotionally unstable, or something like that. I'm trying to spell as I say this. Yeah. So, anyways, but I mean, that's it. That was what
Thanks
it
for
was
telling me
modeled.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You're effed up, neurotic. But I mean, but that's the thing. We grew up in a family system, a society, a culture where it's like, oh no, no, I'm fine. I mean, like, uh, put the energy on mom, rightfully so. Put the energy on other people or something like that. You know, um, while you're probably internally spiraling, you
Yeah.
know. Mom died when you were 17, 18, something like that, right, when you were graduating. But I'd argue, though, the signs of the spiraling started before that, just because you're trying to hold on, um, and let alone hold on to something that's like, oh, we're fine, but there's so much, you know, emotional, even sorrow, depression, all that stuff at a young age. You're just like, I don't know what to do with these emotions, and all that stuff like that. So, um,
Yeah.
we're in the moment. Let's talk junior, senior year of high school. In the moment, those moments as we were coming closer to mom's death, were you identifying any of that, or were you just still like, did you feel like you were deceiving yourself or able to deceive yourself into being, you know,
I th- I think I was doing okay. Like and I think I was deceiving myself in that. Like sophomore year was bad. I was making poor decisions, hurting people. Smoke, I'd smoke here and there. When I made a point to stay away from those things. All, all throughout high school, and then I had some teachers notice some of my actions weren't normal, and so. But like junior, senior year came around, I was stoked for college. I had a plan of things I wanted to do. I wanted to go into psychology, so because I liked talking to people about their problems, and I think maybe I took on some other people's stressors as well, and I didn't know how to talk about my
yeah,
issues. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm sad. My mom has cancer. Like duh. But
yeah,
I didn't have a professional in my life to be able to go through that. And then when mom did pass away, I went to a counselor, like it was kind of, I don't know, mandated, but and they're like, and like I didn't know it was a thing necessarily. Like
hmm,
that's how much therapy was not in our circle, was just like,
yeah,
oh sure, I'll tell someone that I'm upset or how I'm feeling. And again, got so good at telling everyone I'm okay. Therapist was like, cool, you have a strong plan ahead for your future. You're excited for it. You're doing okay. You told me that you're happy and smiling, like you're doing pretty good. And I was like, cool. This is good. What
hmm,
I am right now is good, no matter how I'm feeling deep down inside.
yeah,
And then after that, because I had junior senior year, I had friends. I BMX'd a lot. Um, got a job driving, just the normal things.
hmm,
But I didn't know how I was feeling wasn't normal.
hmm.
It's just this is how people feel because I don't know anything otherwise.
Yeah. Okay. So take us from age 18, mom pass, you
Yeah.
graduate high school, and then take us to that breaking point, which I don't even know what it is. And what age were you?
Yeah.
Because again, I lived in a different town. I was able to escape. It was not. I'm not trying to hijack the story, but I was able to escape because she wasn't in my normal, day to day life. It wasn't an
Yeah.
abrupt, oh, now mom's gone. I mean, it sucked. I couldn't call her when I felt like calling her, or whatnot, but quite different. So,
Well, and our age gap, like we never really lived in the same town, so it's not like I had you there all the time as a
and you were
sibling. Like,
annoying. I mean, I didn't like hanging out with you
oh,
anyways. So,
still am. So thank you for what you what you put up with. But Yeah, so at age 18, I was working full time. I was doing school full time. I was living by myself, which was a great sarcasm. And I was making sure to not drink and like do drugs because I knew that pushed off the grieving process.
Hmm.
And I had friends that were drinking and stuff, so like I'd hang out with them like at a party every once in a while. But I would try to be there as a good example, because I saw them just crumbling and hurting. And then so, but with that, I didn't know this, but filling my time up so much with work and with school, I was still pushing off the grieving process. I had no idea. Like I
Hmm.
was just like, I'm doing good. I'm making the right decisions. And there was some spiraling where it was like, oh, I don't want to get up out of bed.
Hmm.
I calling out of work for 2 days. Like just I can't move. I can't physically move. Didn't know what that was about. Didn't didn't know who to go for with that. And this is when I'm still living in our hometown. Um, and then I had a girlfriend at the time, who was from our town. She was living in Slow, so I went. She was down
Slow.
going to
What's
school at
slow?
Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo,
There we go.
um, California. Um, and so I went down there and I started working full time, doing school full time because I didn't know anything else, and building friends, going to church, just going through the motions of things. And then, fast forward just day to day life. I started like, wow, I live in a beautiful, beautiful place. I have a girlfriend that I loved and had future plans with, had going to school, all this stuff, but something's wrong. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Just, I'm still not happy. Something's missing. And I went to a doctor down there to see uh, what's up. And I told him all this, and he just straight accused me. He was like, "Are you trying to get pills from me?"
Hmm.
I was like, "No, I just, like that's so far out of my like life. Like I'm like, get pills." But anyway, he's like, "Look, dude, like," and this is an old 80 something year old doctor. He's like, "Look, dude,
Ancient.
like yeah, ancient." He's like, "I have people that come in with real problems who actually have a reason to be upset." I was
Wait,
like,
wait, was he bagging on you?
dude, oh, he was talking mad shit. Like he's like he
Old
straight up
doctors,
accused
man.
me. He straight up accused me of coming up with lies to get meds from him.
Pill seeking. Yeah.
Yeah, pill seeking.
I mean,
And
it is
so
a
I
thing,
was,
sure.
yeah, for sure. And I was just shocked. I was just like, so right there, I was immediately taught that I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Like getting lied to. Um,
Well, and I'd argue that you were also taught that certain help's not available,
yeah, yeah,
medical or whatever,
yeah.
Anyways.
And I started to kind of like spiral some more. I was like, man, like, well, and I even was like, I'm glad I heard that instead of someone who's right on the edge, like this is their last, resort to help before they hurt themselves. So I was like, well, like, thank goodness for that, at least. But I ended up telling another doctor about that, and he reported him. He was not happy, and but anyway, go through the motion. Actually, I married that girlfriend, and which led us to move to Portland, where my brother was living, and he was like over the moon about me moving up there.
Yeah.
Changed
No,
his life.
okay,
I
okay.
know you were.
So,
I'm totally kidding, but
so on that note, so I mean, like, and from my perspective, it was like, I know that with your guys' options to choose where you're going to go move to. I mean, there were several because she was going through school. Um, and I hoped it was Portland. But the piece I want to relay was like, oh, cool, he's moving up here. His life's together. He's married. Uh, they're functioning. All that stuff like that. Doing the early, uh, newly married stuff. Great, cool. He's moving up here, and
yeah, and well, and real quick too, back in San Luis Obispo, um, I turned 21 and I had started drinking, like fun with coworkers, going out,
mhm.
whatever. When before I never did, and so introducing the alcohol side to the story, it still wasn't like it was just going out and having fun with friends and coworkers.
Yeah,
So
and
anyway,
then
fast. What?
And then I'd argue you come here and experience real beer. I'm just gonna
Yes.
say,
Yes,
not that
absolutely.
watered down garbage. Anyways,
So anyway, get up to Portland, I'm working, doing school still, um, figuring out what I want to do, and then like I got established with a doctor there, and they're asking me like, how you doing with the rain, with lack of sunshine coming from California, and you and I both seasonal depression, like we've said it like before. What's that? It's
yeah.
just okay, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine, and I'm doing again, I'm fine, I'm doing fine. Um, and then just going through the motions of school. My wife at the time was in a grad program full time for about 100 hours a week, um, and no joke. And so I was just alone a lot. Like it just felt like I was slowly sinking in. I was starting to drink more. I was starting to notice some anxiety for the first time ever. Like when I was growing up, I used to be in car accidents. So it was like, cool, yeah, let's get this done. I'm not freaking out. Like, boom, boom, boom. I used to think I'd be really good in the military because nothing got to me. But
I,
once I hit 25, what?
I like the sound of that. I used to be in car accidents. It's like, how
Okay,
many
sorry.
were you
When I was a
in?
kid, I was in a couple car accidents that other people were driving because I was a child. But
Sorry.
yeah, no, you're fine. And I actually remember I called you because like I was in my apartment alone at night, lights on, but it felt like around every corner was like a demon just out to get me. And before I never understood panic attacks. I had friends who had panic attacks, and I'd be like, just feel better, like you
Mhm.
can't understand how they're feeling. And so I got hit hard with that. Um, Luckily, when I moved up there, you had introduced me into mountain biking, um, which was a very core thing that I needed. But so you and I were getting close. Like our relationship was growing. I could call you
Through
if I
mountain
needed
biking, yeah.
something through mountain biking. Yeah, and but like the depression got so bad that I vividly remember walking around my apartment and just seeing nooses hanging from the ceiling like everywhere and begging me to kill myself. And I remember it felt so real that I would walk by them and kind of just try to get around it and just push through to tomorrow. And really the only thing that would silence that part of my brain was alcohol. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was bad. Like I didn't want this, but I just didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
and I didn't know how to ask anybody. I didn't want to put anyone out. I was there to support my ex through school, so I needed to be strong for them. One of her classmates' husbands had killed himself while they were in school, so I was like, I can't do that to her.
Damn.
So yeah, it was brutal. But so, um, so yeah, and then I got with I found a doctor up there and was just telling him what I'm starting to feel with depression. And he was like, he just stopped me and he was like, depression isn't you. Like, you have this thing in your brain that's telling you lies about yourself to get you to get worse and hurt yourself. Like, it's very real, it's very painful. But he's like, there are certain ways we can go about helping you get through that. And I was just like, oh, this is the first time I've been told how I'm feeling isn't normal.
Mm-hmm.
That was big. Um, and he was like, we can work with exercise, um, antidepressants. I went through a string of those to kind of figure out what worked, and I got one that was good. The Along with some anxiety meds. um, it kind of kept my head stable. uh, but it was just a brutal process of just trying to live, like
Mm-hmm.
trying to just be a human being amongst all other things of life that's thrown at you.
Yeah.
And I was exercising at the time a lot. Like my ex was a big runner, and so I would run a lot. I did a 15K, like, but I was drinking. There's even one time. There was one time too. I was like, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna do it drunk. That sucked. That was terrible. Like I'm like practically throwing up, and I was like, why do they make this look like fun on TV?
Yeah.
Um, but Anyway, yeah, and then it just I still got worse because I was
Well,
still drinking.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
I was gonna say you're up here, Pacific Northwest. You're mountain biking. You got some new meds on board. You've got some hope. It feels like, yet you're still spiraling down.
Hmm. Yeah. Still spiraling. And don't get me wrong, I had great days. I had fun days. It wasn't like just total misery. It was just like the
No,
misery
but I
was
remember, you and I think we tried to mountain bike like once or twice a week.
mhm.
And it just got to a point where half the time you'd cancel last minute,
Yeah.
and you would give some reason behind like, oh, like I'm sick or I had a huge leg day yesterday. And, and
Yeah.
some of that I think was real. Some of it I think was garbage. But I mean, even the things you love to do,
Yeah.
you were,
Were hard sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah, just facing the world. Like there were so many times I was stuck in bed and
That couldn't have
couldn't
been good
move.
for a relationship either.
No, no, it was terrible. Well, she didn't know she was, and understandably so, she was in school all the time, and
Yeah.
I got really good at like showing up for the little things that I needed to show up for, and then pushing my stuff aside, pushing my for other people, um, other people's feelings. I just thought that was being strong, and no, I I it's toxic.
Mhm.
It's you can't pour from an empty cup, and my cup was never full in the
Yeah.
first place. So I didn't even know what pouring from a full cup even looked like. Um,
Well,
so yeah,
except for pouring beer in your cup, that
beer.
was kind of where you're at, or maybe the harder stuff. But
Yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
okay, so uh, are we at your turning point yet?
no,
Um,
oh, I'm getting there. I'm not
just
gonna.
wait, there's more.
Yeah, no, there's more. Well, and here's the thing. So like, I ended up like she went on rotations. We never saw each other, and I spiraled so bad that I was like, if I don't leave right now, I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna just I don't even know if I'm gonna hurt
You
myself, but I'm
felt
just
trapped
trapped,
in everything. Yeah.
stuck completely, and I exploded. I ended up like overnight leaving, and then going back home, Lake County, and staying with dad, and going back and forth with and everyone's just like, "What are you doing? What is wrong with
Yeah.
you? You blowing me up? My phone's going off every second. It's like making me panic because of like all these people mad at me, and I'm just trying to hide and I'm terrified. And I'm like, I'm just trying to like get through the next minute, not the next day, but the next freaking minute. I even yelled at one of my sisters of like, please leave me alone because the texts I'm getting from you are crippling me with anxiety
Yeah.
to where I can't even move,
Yeah.
and I feel bad about that. But I just finally like again exploded, and I you did pretty great too because you actually like listened to me about what I was going through and stuff, and but
You don't have
everyone
to
was
tell me
hurting.
that to my face. I mean,
Telling everyone else that you're awesome.
yeah.
No,
Yes.
no. I mean, again, it wasn't perfect, but I had no one knew what I was going through, and I didn't know what I was going through. Like, it's
Well,
just
to be fair, I
hard.
mean, like we had our versions of we thought you were going through.
Yeah,
Like I mean, it wasn't like out of the blue, like, oh wow, Leighton's off the deep end. It was like, oh, that seems weird. Oh, that seems odd. I mean, like, but the roots and the depths of it, nobody knew for sure.
yeah.
At least that I know of. So
Well, and I'd gotten better. I got back on my meds. I wasn't drinking very much. I was in a new relationship that was great
yeah, because the
for the
old one
most part.
dissolved.
Yeah, the old
Yeah.
one. Yeah, we got
Not trying to get
divorced, and
into that. Yeah.
yeah, no, you're fine. The old one was divorce, lots of pain. And then I got in a new relationship, and we were together for like 5 years, and it was great. It was
Oh dang, I didn't know you were that long.
yeah, and but some, because I didn't fix a lot of the things that I was going through, I just was in a new situation,
Yeah.
a new place and I was with someone that made me really happy, and um uh but I still didn't change the root cause of what was going on with
Right.
me because I didn't
Right.
know. Um and so, and I wasn't exercising at all at that time, and was still drinking. But anyway, it crept back. It came back, and it almost, it didn't. I don't think it quite got worse, but like there were some breaking points in my new relationship. We ended up getting married, and then right after, everything imploded. Like, and I was drinking. I was not being healthy.
Basically, you brought
Not
yourself
exercising.
into the new circumstances, relationship, all the above.
Yeah, and then circumstances on the other the partner's side, things just dissolved fast. And
Okay.
but before that was coming, it's very interesting because during COVID I had started therapy, and therapy was really good, like regular weekly therapy, not saying I'm okay, like actually talking about things of the past, my mom, current things, and it was really good. Like, this was before the implosion again.
Mhm.
um but I wasn't exercising. I was still working on me. And I didn't have community. I was not in regular contact at all with my family, with you guys, with sisters, a little bit with dad. But I wasn't going to church. I was very isolated to me and my partner. We didn't go do anything.
Mhm.
Um, and
Almost like a lifeline.
yeah, almost like a lifelong. And we eventually, like, I made too many poor decisions with drinking, and it just kind of, it ended things before it ended. Like,
Hmm.
it was the start of the end. And I was like, dude, I need to get healthy. That was a wake up call, an aha moment. Of It was like right after I turned 30. I was like, dude, I don't want this anymore. Like, James actually kind of touched on this, is like, before I'd said I want to quit, but I didn't want to stop. It was because I should
Yeah.
quit drinking, um, but I finally hit that aha moment of like, dude, I need to make a change or I'm gonna die, and
Yeah.
like, I deserve to live a better life. And then pro mountain biker Braden Bringhurst, he came out with a video of riding the whole enchilada, and I remember hitting you up and being like, "Dude, we should do this." Because I was still mountain biking a little bit, but not as much as I am now. Um,
Oh yeah.
and good.
No, I wanted to paint a picture too of like, don't take this wrong. That's always
Right.
a great way to start, right? Don't
Right.
take this wrong, but you're
Yeah.
no show. But no, I feel like the your rock bottom wasn't this like, oh my gosh, I found myself in a ditch covered in blood, drunk or hungover or whatever, and I need to change my life around. I feel like from what my understanding is and what you've shared is that it was a, like you say, a point where you're just like, I got to change or I will find myself in that ditch. And so it was a slow, just as a spiral was a slow onset. I feel like the turnaround was a slow, methodical one of connecting these pieces, getting the therapy, sort of separating yourself from a relationship that went south. Um, and I feel it all began when you became houseless, you know?
Yeah, yeah, in a way, like, because you and I started we started like working together to get healthier. All right, brother, let's keep each other accountable. Let's actually make it happen this time, because
Well,
we've trained in the past, but we'd fall off,
yeah,
like,
but we're
and
talking physically.
houseless. Yeah, I'm getting there.
No, no, no. We're talking
Oh,
physically. We weren't
oh, yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah.
hey, let's get healthy emotionally, spiritually, mentally. It was more like, hey, let's get working out. And yeah, we can go into that later. But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's get physically active so we can go do these big mountain bike trips. We can go do Moab. Um, And then my relationship just completely fell apart right out. And I felt right before that, I felt God being like, hey bro, you should come back to church. And I went to a church from my past that I had some church hurt with. And I was like, oh, this was great. Like, all these people from when I was a kid are somehow still alive, but they, because they were old when I was a kid and they're old now. But anyways, it was like I was welcomed home in a way, like, and you had a part in that because going back to church was we had a family member that, or no, sorry, an old family friend that had passed away, and you flew down to go, and
Hmm.
Dad uh, came,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa, I have you, I have Dad there, and this was really great. And so I was like, I'm going to start going to church. And then my relationship crumbled, and it literally felt like God was like, dude, something's coming. And so lean into me a little bit. uh, and I did, and it was great. And then after that, I, I kind of ended up on my own for the first time, um, became houseless. I actually, uh, started camping full time for about 7 or 8 months. Um, and it was great. Like I was kind of like well, like, to survive at that time, I was like, I need to treat the next thing as an adventure.
Hmm.
So like being homeless, let's make it fun. It's just like, so I had my mountain bike on my little inky dink car. I had the car full of, well, my life.
Hmm.
I'm still working, I work in an office full time. I had a lot of my clothes at that office. Um, and I was surviving, and I had, my relationship with all my siblings had come back, leaning into you guys, still in therapy. I'm months into doing CrossFit, so I had that community as well, and exercise, and I just was going through the motions of building discipline and processing my brain, and the things of the past and the current things now. And it was a lot of freaking work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to say it was hard. Like, it was all hard work, but not in a way that it wasn't worth it. Like, it was 100% worth it. Um, because it was like, oh, dude, I'm actually processing what I thought was normal,
Yeah.
what I thought was just how you feel as a human. Like, even talking about this, I'm realizing like how some men or women, but men feel on just like, oh yeah, I just push my crap aside and I take care of my family.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you need to
Until
take care
they
of
can't.
yourself. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you can't. You will spiral. I'm living proof of that because I love to serve. I love being there for others, but I also didn't have the right community, the right people, partners that weren't supporting me. Like, it also takes the right people to be around,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. I didn't have you guys too,
Well,
or mom.
yeah, and one thing, yeah, and one thing you've mentioned before, just with you and I, have been that time you were camping full time, quote unquote. Uh, you know, you had mentioned that you weren't, you were unplugged in those moments. You were alone and unplugged, and not that that works for everybody, but for you, I feel like really worked to be able to process, to be able to be okay with yourself, allow God to speak into your life. Um, the brain science speaks of boredom right now, where boredom is actually a really good time for your brain to process everything it's gone through, to be able to put it, compartmentalize, and grow from. Um, and I feel like you had that opportunity to be alone in nature, where in my opinion, being out in the woods is the healthiest we can be.
Yeah,
um, and so that piece, I love that piece, because you had your community of church, you had your community of CrossFit, which I was so stoked that you had that, but also you had your alone time, which you hated being alone. And whether it
dude.
was because it reminded you of your growing up, where, mom was obviously doing her stuff, dad was obviously doing his stuff because of mom. And so you were only child and you hated being alone. And so I feel like that was a big piece of your health journey.
Yeah, then that's a good point because like, and these relationships I was jumping into, it was just like, oh, someone I
Yeah.
can help or serve or whatever. And yeah, I didn't know how to be alone. Like my therapist all the time was like, "You should work on your codependency." I'm like, "Let's focus on alcohol first,
Yeah.
like let's focus on the other things." And like she
I
kept
remember
like,
hearing about codependency for the first time. Like, what's that? Codependency?
yeah,
That's not me. What?
yeah, exactly. Like no way. And but yeah, I had a lot of alone time. Yeah, I didn't have service. I literally had a campsite. I would cowboy camp, so no tent, just a pad and sleeping bag, and
You couldn't
had to
sleep in
run
your
in.
car because it was the size of
It was
a
too, yeah,
shoebox.
and I'm tall, and I had a couple run-ins with coyotes, like storming the site, and it was fun. It was like, dude, I get to go do. Not many people get to go do this, like. So I had to put that positive spin on it to be able to get through of like so I don't spiral again. So I don't
Hmm.
just like, what am I doing? My nervous system freak out, and
Yeah.
I was still drinking a little bit here and there, but definitely not as much. But I was slowly breaking the old habits and healing the roots so that like I can come into flourishing this way, to like to be healthy and be
Hmm.
free. And so just doing that same stuff over and over again of working out. And I traveled, like I would, I had my mountain bike with me, so I would, okay, this weekend, let's go to Tahoe. That'll be my home for that weekend. I went up and visited you sometimes and rode. We all went on a family reunion in Bend, Oregon, and I went to Oak Ridge. All this stuff. Anyway, just made it fun. It was like I'm on my own. I can make my own decisions. Let's go do what I love and go mountain bike. Um, so yeah, it was just a lot of key things that I needed to do. I'm not. I got off meds eventually with therapy to where I was not my brain, like, it was especially worse when I would drink. It would just like make up stuff that
Hmm.
about me that were not true, and I would blame my partner, and they're like, what are you talking about? We're all hanging out having fun having drinks, and you're just coming up with this stuff in your head to hurt yourself, to cause havoc in your life. I don't have that anymore. I don't have
Sabotage.
anxiety anymore. Yeah, self-sabotage, absolutely. um and then yeah, just patterns of doing the right thing, making good choices, good habits, to where, like, yeah, like I said, I could just tear away from the old and then just be who I was supposed to be, who I've never been. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful place to be at. And I would never like, it's easy to like, oh, I want to make a goal to how I want to look or be strong or whichever. But like, I've never known what actual fulfillment and happiness could feel like. So I
Mm.
never got to like know what I want to shoot for. Like I've never, it's like, I don't know. I was thinking about it earlier. It's almost like heaven. Like I can't fathom how amazing heaven can be because I've never experienced it.
Mhm.
Um, so it's hard. You don't have that like drive. Like that's what I want. Um, and there is so much healing and 100% worth getting through the crap, because and not settling for being some mediocre person. And I'm just a person. Like this is what I had to do to become just a regular living being, and now I'm just so happy. And it's not like this is not a success story of, oh, I have a mansion and all these worldly things or anything. It's like, no, I can live anywhere on earth in a shack on the ground, and because I am healed, I am fulfilled.
Mhm.
That's what's big.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Your health came from not adding more. Actually, it came from taking away or
Hmm.
having less. You moved back to a hometown, which is really dinky and can be depressing. But you moved back to the hometown. You got around healthy people. Um, for the most part. You were houseless. You didn't have a lot of possessions. You didn't have a relationship to rely on. So um, before that, you were seeking, oh, if I'm with this partner, uh, it'll be better. Oh, if I have this thing, or all that stuff that we fool ourselves into thinking, oh, if I only had this, life would be better. And I love your story for just no, I and maybe it just came about because you didn't have money or you didn't have whatever the case may be, but you had less, and that's part of the process that it took to get you where you're at now.
Yeah, I was stripped away of my comforts,
There we go.
my
Yeah.
eating terribly. I mean, I ate decently, but I still was not eating great. Drinking, relationships, codependency, like, um, yeah, I just was in a really crazy season, and it wasn't all perfect in the healing. Like it was this, it wasn't like, all right, we're climbing, climbing. I went down a little bit, but because of the habits I've created and the community I have, and how to actually say, hey, bro, I need some help, or hey, friendo, I need some help, and they'll, because you're around good people, they're root for you, they're listening to you, they'll pull you out, um, with them. And yeah, just it's been a crazy journey, and I'm in no way telling this in a, oh, woe is Leighton, and no, you guys don't know me, and this is not how I want you necessarily to know me. I mean, it's my story, so I'm not proud of it because I had a great outcome. But this is like, people later in life just being like, this is just who I am.
Hmm.
I've been doing it for so long, and change is scary. And I have good days. I have fun. I have some friends. And it's like, no, like you will grow so much, your family will grow so much, or if you don't have a family, you'll grow to where you are ready for a family. That was my case. Like, I learned how to be okay by myself, um, so that I can, I was rewarded, so to speak, with a family that cares about me more than anyone ever has. Uh, serves me as I serve them, kind of a thing. It's like it's not a one-sided, coin anymore. So that is, I just want someone to be encouraged, inspired to get through, because like, there's a lot I didn't share on, like, just the day-to-day crap that doesn't matter. Like, that's just more like, oh, that happened, or he did that, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, I wanted to die, and now I really want to live.
Yeah. Well, and speaking to our listeners, we all have our stories, varying degrees of hardship, setbacks, and emotional fallouts. To where we won't be able to understand everybody's stories, but we have our own to be able to sympathize with other people's stories. And although my story, your story may not be as deep as another person's, it's still, we can have this relational piece, um, of portraying hope, portraying that you're not too far gone, um, and that we can transform absolutely. And you just got a journey to do it. You just got to grind to do it.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
and these are the what worked for us. So,
yeah, we're just done being losers. So we wanted to be
wait,
great.
speak for yourself.
I am.
Okay. I mean, I still want to be a loser. Apparently,
You still want
no.
to be, yeah,
Wait.
there you go. Well, and I wanted to actually say thank you too, because in the muck of when I was living in Portland, um, mountain biking that you introduced me to was what, like, really, it was my core thing that kept me going. Like, it was what made me excited for the future. We went to Whistler a couple times. We had a ton of fun mountain biking the Pacific Northwest, and like, mountain biking literally was the only time that my brain wasn't going crazy, because I have to watch 25 feet in front of me, and I cannot think about anything else. I can only focus on what's coming on next. It helped me track my mind to where everything else gets silent. I didn't
Yeah.
have to think about a single thing, and I loved it. And you're fresh air and having fun. Like, dude, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and we had a group of like 11 guys that are still super awesome. And so anyway, I wanted to thank you for introducing me to mountain biking. Like, guiding me on how to get a mountain bike, because they're freaking expensive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I appreciate that. I, um, for the sake of this podcast, having an avenue and a physical avenue is key. running, mountain bike, hunting. I know plenty of hunters that they get in shape for hunting, all the above, to where get that aggression out, but also have something to focus on to train for is key as well. Um, but I also like to point out, I know plenty of people that have had stories like yours, or rougher, to where, oh man, and then I got into working out and I changed my life around. It's like, you did, and it's awesome. You're very healthy and stuff like that, but you haven't taken care of the emotional stuff. You haven't taken care of the spiritual stuff. You stuff it all. You've changed your habit from drugs, alcohol, whatever, to working out, which is healthier, but you still haven't, addressed the wounds of the past. What got you there in the first place? You changed your addiction from a bad addiction to a good, healthier
Yeah,
addiction,
absolutely.
and you thankfully got, you saw a counselor, saw a counselor. You got around good community, um, working out, having plans there and stuff like that, to where you're transformed body, spirit, mind.
Yeah,
And I wanted to highlight that because working out is just it's a big piece, but it's still just a piece of the
hmm,
process. You could be here chiseled as all ever, but still be an a-hole, you know, or still going from relationship to relationship, or still drinking, to mask the pain or hide the pain. And that's just not, we're here just saying that's the physical side's a piece of it.
absolutely, and not the most important piece. Like I was exercising in Portland, but I still that my engine, my heart, my mind were all messed up, and it took everything being stripped away from me for the good. I'm finally at a place of thank God all that happened, um, and to build up from nothing. Like to build a strong foundation from the ground up. And yeah, you can totally be a dickhead and be in shape. Like,
Yeah.
it's you gotta focus on these other areas too. Like how are you supposed to be the stronghold of your household and face the fears of the world when you won't even face your own fears or your own mind, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and and
it's so
and
important.
on that note too, um, just because you hit rock bottom, you turn around, you have successes. How do you keep successes? And so, with our focus on body, mind, and spirit in this podcast, being the side of tragedy, what do you keep? What I call a tool belt. What do you keep in your tool belt that keeps your demons away? You know, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes total sense. Like community, the Lord, um, which goes hand in hand sometimes. Exercising, future countdowns to be able to like be excited for something to work towards. My own family now, uh, doing stuff for them daily, and also being able to like talk to them. Therapy, there's just every once in a while I notice I'm like, oh, this thing's affecting me, so I'm gonna do this to make it better. Like it's just I don't even have to think about it anymore because I've done it for so long, that when the world comes at you, and it will, you could face it. You have healthy methods to be able to get around it, and not just push it to the side. But yeah, tool belt. I mean, I learned that in therapy on having these habits to where like, and back in the day in Portland, one thing on my tool belt when I got super anxiety attacks, panic attacks, it was grab a rock, and just rub the edges of it and focus on the edges, and that helps like track your mind. Like a therapist taught me that, and it worked so well. And that used to be my only tool belt, and now it's like when something made up in my mind would make me panic from a situation. Now I can face the world and not much gets to me. And if it ever does, I have the rest of the tool belt set to go to where I can build the house up versus just hammering over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One dimensional. So,
Yeah.
um, we don't have this really scheduled in, but like, what do you hope for the future? You
Um,
don't have to get specific, but just
I mean, obviously, to be able to like, I'm main thing with future is I will never be going back to how I was before. And so that I'm not saying that's at a forefront of like I think about it all the time, and so I'm hyper focused on it. It's just that's what I don't want to do. And then I mean, future now, it's like, dude, I want to keep working on myself, getting in shape now that for the most part my mind and heart are good. I'm still in therapy and I do not plan on ever leaving therapy. Like it's just sometimes we have nothing to talk about, which
yeah,
is great, because like, oh, this week was fantastic. And even because they've been on vacation, I've been on vacation. It's been like 3 weeks since I've had a therapy session, and I feel it like
mm,
being not being able to talk about just whatever
sure,
happened.
process.
Yeah, processing crap. Um, so always be continuing with that, building the tool belt, getting in better shape, and then just having a fantastic, boring life, being happy. It's I cannot wait for what the future holds when it used to just freak me out. And I feel like the only thing that would help is I would plan for the future because then maybe I have some control over it. Um, and mountain bike and grow with you, brother, and in this so we can
Yes.
help more people. And yeah, you're there and mountain bike with you. And so it's really nice to be able to like I can't wait to do nothing. Like all this is a lot, but it's just like to be able to like just have a day to day living life, being happy
Mhm.
and healed.
And knowing what to do when the day to day doesn't allow for happiness, or circumstances we live in this crazy world doesn't allow for it. You have that tool belt to be able to use on those days. So
Yeah,
it sounds like you're not fearing the future because you have those tools in place.
yeah. I'm not. Yeah.
So that's awesome, man.
Thanks, bro.
I mean, and you have me,
Took
and that's
that's
pretty
all I need.
much that's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. Like all this other stuff is just fluff.
I'm going to hell. Um,
Don't do that.
yeah, no, I don't plan on that. So,
Fresno.
yeah, that's another story. No, well, I appreciate your vulnerability. It's not always easy sharing your story, especially when you know it may feel like um, some days you're in the thick of it still. Some days you're not. Um, we don't really lead from a place of hey, we've arrived. Copy us. I think that's garbage for anybody. We're just two brothers who got tired of just I think you said it, losing. Um, and if Leighton's story hit you, share with us, share with somebody, share. Or if this episode helped in any way, just keep listening to it. Or if you know somebody that might benefit from it, share it with them. Because that's our whole goal. I mean, this is therapeutic for us, obviously, but it's also our goal to help as many people along the way as we can. Because we don't need to live like this, and we can help and support each other not live in the garbage, or fake it till we make it, or fake it until usually what happens is you don't fake it till you make it, you fake it until the breaking point, and then you're like I said earlier, wake up in a ditch, bloody, drunk, and who knows how you got there, or you never wake up in that ditch. um let's stop that before anybody gets to that point. We've got tools in our arsenal that we would love to share, um, and we appreciate you guys out there. Um, any closing wrap ups for you, bud?
Yeah, my story's not shock and awe like how you're saying with like waking up in a ditch. Mine's just what so many people I think probably go through, and it's just what they think of being a human or being a man is, and it's not. You don't settle for mediocrity. Do the 5 years of really hard but worth it, and then have the next rest of your life great, versus just I want you guys to thrive.
Mhm.
And the I can say I'm thriving like on a day-to-day basis, even on the hard times. Like,
Mhm.
cool, I'll get right through it. So, thank you guys for listening. Follow us on all the social medias, on um, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And yeah, we still love being your guys' community, and we love you guys being ours. And so let's keep this going.
Yeah. And hey, bro, thanks for being vulnerable.
I don't ever stop. You're welcome. I don't know.
Thanks for being real. Thanks for being not hiding.
Yes.
Um, no, I appreciate it. It can be vulnerable and it can be scary, but you know, I think that your heart is good in the sense of wanting to use it to help others. So it's helped me. So
Oh, thanks.
I'm a
I'm glad.
living proof. Boom. I
Boom,
don't.
son.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
Peace.
Bye.